Keep warming up. While we're doing that for a moment, let me remind you that we kick and punch, we do movement, timing, all of this practice, but ultimately Fight Club is a mindset growth training session. Really understand that fundamentally it's a mindset growth. And if we can grow our mindset in this, and then it helps us in other walks of life, then that's a real achievement here. But the mindset growth is what will move you forward with everything, competitively fighting as well. It's about building up some mental toughness as well. Our whole motto of I am a champion is building up that mental toughness. And we've been talking about a few things with a film mental growth, mindset growth that we've been doing recently. And one thing we've been talking about is goal setting. And that's an important thing and something that we can start to set in motion now as, restrictions are starting to lift. Understand that getting back to the dojo and training outside in 2 weeks' time is not a realistic goal. In a sense, I do not have control over that. What that is an aim. If the government suddenly turned around and said, oh, you've got to wait another month, then it's completely out of my control. So being back at our dojo in 2 weeks' time is an aim. That's what we're aiming to be. What we've got to focus goals as is things that we can control. So my goal is to deliver a session for you each week. Your goal is to turn up for that session. And then you can break it down into smaller goals, push yourself a bit harder, practice your kick in, make sure you're resting beforehand, or all those kind of things. Once you've activated, make sure you're stretching up and you'll be ready to go. I'll give you another 5 minutes. So like we practice the blitzing, the kicking and all the technique movement we do, let's practice the mindset, the mind growth as well. So for instance, when we start looking at goals, getting back to our dojo is an aim, part of the mission statement. The goals are turning up each week. Start looking at some of the obstacles that might fall in your way. You might have already experienced it, but start thinking and actually planning obstacles. So when they do arise, you're ready for them. So time management, that's obviously a big obstacle, especially as we start, we're all going back to school, possibly back to work and everything else. Another thing that you've got to take into account as an obstacle is injury. Some of you may be fortunate enough never to have suffered with that, but injury is one of the most pain in the arse obstacles going. So what you're doing right now is so important. Warming up and getting prepared at the start of the session prevents injury. If you don't, you're only asking for it. Also, if you're carrying any kind of injury, accept it, own it, be realistic. So if you've hurt your hand, don't use the hand. If you've hurt your leg, don't do what hurts the leg. There's always a way round these things. Overtraining, that's what you've got to watch with injuries, that you don't overtrain, especially when you're keen and you're really working towards an aim, part of the mission statement. If you do have an injury, a significant injury, getting professional advice is really important. So, you've got to get that advice. You've got to see a osteopath or whoever your form of treatment comes from. That is so important. But really, the only obstacle that stands in our way that isn't overcoming is death. So unless you're dead, you should be here. Obviously, family, work, things like that are going to get in the way. But let's plan and let's be accountable, have some accountability as well. Right, a couple more minutes. Once you're ready to go, get your gloves on, because then I've got a signal that I know you're all set to go. Or some of you already started hitting some shadow sparring.